Okay, this is chapter 48 of The Night Singer. 48. What Rebecca really wanted was to go back upstairs and crawl beneath the covers, shutting out the world and its demands. The pill Petrie had given her had made her drowsy, but it had also left most of her worries intact. Molly was the only reason she was forcing herself to stay downstairs on the sofa. She couldn't leave her, not after what she had put her through. The girl had come into the kitchen just as Petrie hissed that Rebecca was a selfish slut. Too terrified to say anything, she had frozen in the doorway, watching them argue. When Rebecca noticed her standing there, she had rushed over to her, and their argument had fizzled out, or perhaps it had simply been pushed back. Rebecca no longer felt angry, she was just tired. She glanced down at her daughter, who was curled up beside her with her cuddly rabbit. Her face was calm and relaxed as she followed Hiccup and Astrid and the other dragon riders on the screen. Suddenly she giggled and turned to Rebecca. "Did you see that, Mommy?" Rebecca smiled and nodded, though she had no idea what Molly was talking about. No, it was just for her sake that Rebecca had resisted the urge to flee upstairs. Sitting her made her feel better, too. Molly loved everything to do with dragons, and Joel had often read to her about Tam the Dragon Rider. She had asked Rebecca to continue the story last night, but Rebecca hadn't been able to bring herself to do it. Petrie had stepped in instead. Her phone started ringing, but when she saw Hannah's number, she refused to answer. She doubted she would ever want to talk to Hannah again. It buzzed with a message a few minutes later, and Rebecca's first instinct was to ignore it, but she needed to know. "Axel is free to go. This is how it goes in investigations. Being held doesn't mean someone is guilty. That's why I didn't say anything. We're sure it wasn't him." Rebecca wrote a quick reply. "Are as sure as you were last time?" She stared at the words for a moment or two, then deleted every last one and put down the phone. Molly turned to her. "Are you sad, Mommy?" "Yes, a bit. Are you?" Rebecca wiped away the tears that had begun running down her cheeks. She had no control over them. "Yes, but not right now." For a few minutes, Rebecca managed to follow the action on screen without thinking about either Joel or Hannah, but she couldn't make sense of the plot. One minute, Hiccup and Astrid were flying around, searching for something, then suddenly they were in a cave. On Saturdays, Rebecca usually came up with something fun to do with Molly. Last weekend, they had gone to the indoor water park in Kalmar. She had asked Joel if he wanted to come along, but he had said no, claiming he had a headache. Neither she nor Petrie had the energy to entertain Molly now. Things had been harder on Petrie than she realized, and the tears started flowing again when she thought about how he had said nothing, despite knowing about her affair. Yes, she had noticed he was drinking more than usual on Tuesday, but she hadn't for a second thought that it might be because of her, because of what she had done. She had been too preoccupied with Gabriel, with finding ways to be close to him, too oblivious to the fact that he was already drifting away. Petrie came out from the kitchen and asked if she wanted anything. From his face, she couldn't tell what was going on inside. "Some tea would be good," Rebecca replied, mostly because she couldn't deny him anything right now. He returned a few minutes later with tea for both Rebecca and Molly. Molly's cup was at least 2/3 milk, and probably contained a few spoonfuls of sugar. He had even brought them a couple of cookies on the tray, and the girl wolfed them down one after the other. Maybe she thought they would disappear if she didn't hurry. Rebecca took a sip of her tea and put down the cup. Right then, there was a knock on the door, and Petrie went to answer. Rebecca heard Ulrika's voice over the TV. People were still laying flowers at their gate, but almost no one actually dared to knock. Ulrika stepped into the living room. "Want to get some fresh air?" she asked. Rebecca's suspicions were immediately raised. Could Petrie have called Ulrika to tell her about the affair? It didn't seem to fit with the calm anxiety in Ulrika's question. If he had called her, it would be more of a warped sense of concern, because he thought Rebecca would feel better if she got up and about. Sleep, eat, get a bit of exercise, and everything will be fine. But the idea of parading through the village wasn't appealing in the slightest, particularly not with Ulrika. "We could just go out back," Ulrika suggested. Rebecca nodded and got up. Ulrika might have heard something. "You'll have to watch the dragons with me instead," Molly said to Petrie, who sat down in Rebecca's seat. The two women went out to the porch at the back of the house. The wooden chairs were hard and cold, but Rebecca didn't fetch any cushions. Ulrika was watching her, and for the first time Rebecca noticed the dark circles beneath her eyes. "Are you okay?" Rebecca asked. I'm the one who should be asking you that. It's why I came over. Maybe, but I don't have the energy to think about it. Ulrika peered over at the small cluster of trees inside. We're actually having a bit of a tough time right now. You and Gabriel? Ulrika nodded. Rebecca didn't ask any follow-up questions, afraid that the answer might touch upon the affair. Afraid that Ulrika, like Petrie, had put 2 and 2 together on Tuesday. But would she really be here if she had? She probably just knew he was having an affair, not who it was with. Maybe that was why she had organized the barbecue, in an attempt to win him back. If that was the case, it had worked. He had ended things with Rebecca. What could possibly have gone wrong since? Another suspicion struck her. Perhaps Petrie had invited Ulrika over because he thought Rebecca should confess to sleeping with her husband. She felt a headache building. Trying to analyze other people's behavior was exhausting. Gabriel, Ulrika didn't seem to be able to look at her, and Rebecca realized she would have to put a stop to this. Listen, I don't have the energy. It bothered her that Ulrika only seemed to have come over to talk about her cheating husband. Any concern for how Rebecca was doing had been forgotten a little too easily. No, you're right, said Ulrika. It's not me we should be talking about. Are you getting any information from the police? So, actually. I heard that Axel... They let him go. Why? Hannah loves telling me they can't reveal any details of the investigation. Hannah? Hannah Dunker, yeah, she's from around here. We went to school together. Didn't you know? Ulrika shook her head. She was originally from Borgholm and had attended different schools, but Rebecca saw the moment the penny finally dropped. Dunker. So was it her dad who beat up and burned that woman? Yes, Rebecca replied, irritated, swallowing the impulse to defend Hannah. Sorry, said Ulrika. I just didn't know you were friends. We were, but we barely spoke after she moved away. Why'd she come back? I have no idea. The 2 women sat quietly for a moment or two. Rebecca hadn't thought to bring a jacket out with her, and she began shivering softly. She glanced back at the porch doors. It must have been awful having a dad who... Yeah, Rebecca interrupted. She couldn't deal with Ulrika right now. Couldn't she just get the hint and leave? Do you know what the police think happened? Ulrika asked. Not really, but the latest thing is that they've started asking whether Joel was gay. Ulrika looked shocked. Was he? I don't know, Rebecca told her, bursting into tears. Ulrika hugged her. Why didn't he say anything? Rebecca sobbed. Did he think I wouldn't accept him?